sisters, brothers, siblings in the Episcopal Church in Northern Indiana. Grace and peace be with you in Jesus, the light for all people. Hello, friends. It's Friday afternoon, the 13th of October, and I'd like to share some reflections with you, and have invited Father Nate Warne to share some reflections as well about the array of incredible acts of violence and displacement that have occurred in our world recently. As many of you know, the war, the invasion of Ukraine began in February of 2022, and it's now in its 20th month. Father Nate is Armenian, and his particular experience and perspective, I think, regarding what's occurred to the Armenian people is of value for us to hear. So, Father Nate, could you tell us a bit about your own experience and perspective?
Sure. So my family immigrated to the U.S. Between the Hamadi massacres and the Armenian genocide taking place roughly between 1895 and 1915. But the tragedy of the recent months is back in December, Azerbaijan blocked off what's called the Lakshin corridor, where 120,000 Armenians lived and have lived for thousands of years. What this did was it prevented from medicine, from food, from supplies getting to those 120,000 Armenians. And so for us here in the United States, reading news, we heard stories of people fainting in bread lines, of miscarriages because of malnutrition, and other just sort of horrific malnutrition related both deaths and horror stories. But just this past September 19th, Azerbaijan attacked Armenia in an illegal act of aggression against 120,000 starving people, basically starting the process of ethnic cleansing, sending 120,000 people off to on the other side of the border of Armenia. So since that time, what we've heard stories of children running into the forests. We've heard the stories of politicians who that democratically elect, or that democratic area being arrested and disappearing. And as of January 2024, the region of Artsakh, or Nagorno-Karabakh, will cease to exist. It'll just become Azerbaijan. And what is incredibly disheartening about all of this also is that these have been Christian and Armenian territories since as early as the 3rd century, with people living there before that. So there's monasteries, Christian monasteries, graveyards, and other heritage sites that are being destroyed, that are being defaced. And so, yeah, it's been very frustrating for myself and friends and family to watch this from afar and feeling very, very powerless, feeling overlooked as a kid, but also that it's happening right now. In 2023, there's an ethnic cleansing and potential genocide taking place right now.
I know that, at least from my reading and understanding, that Armenia was the first Christian kingdom, right?
Yeah, in 301, Armenia was the first kingdom to adopt Christianity as its national religion.
Yes. I'm also grateful that the Archbishop of Canterbury visited there in early October, and his the sort of byline from his address is, "I come here to say that you are not forgotten." And I know that the Executive Council of the Episcopal Church is meeting this month, and you've been working with some people to bring a resolution forward for the council to adopt.
Yes.
So those are the kinds of initiatives that you're taking, and we certainly want to uphold all of those individuals who live in desperate times, in fear of their lives, innocent individuals. You know, so thank you for bringing this to my attention, to our attention, to the church's attention.
I think it's just worthy reflection of having generations of your family living in a particular place, and then having the knowledge that you may never be able to go back to that place again. And so in that way, it's very similar to those stories that we hear about Palestinian occupation in 1948 and then in 1967. So there's a lot of resonances there with even the conflict that took place this past weekend.
So thanks. That's another piece of this conversation that I'd just like to raise up. Yesterday, Thursday afternoon, I had the opportunity to be on a Zoom call with 30 plus bishops of the Episcopal Church, facilitated by Rebecca Linder Blatchley, who is the Office of Government Relations person for the Episcopal Church in Washington, D.C. And she invited us to think about what are the best ways that we might address some of these concerns, and highlighted 4 points that I think are important to certainly say any kind of atrocity is outrageous. Hamas should be condemned for their actions. As well at this moment, we need to secure and encourage the possibility of a humanitarian corridor out of Gaza, because there are innocent people who are the victims of violence, and they need to be safe and secure. We also want to affirm the fact that all human life is sacred. God doesn't make decisions about who's valued and who's not, and we should not be engaged in that. We want to condemn all war crimes, crimes that Hamas has committed, and also potential crimes that other nations are committing for the sake of collective punishment, kind of getting back at people. I think it's important to say that, at least from the perspective of the Office of Government Relations, that de-escalation of the situation is in Israel's best interest, rather than escalating the violence. And lastly, the big concern that this particular set of circumstances over the last, since last Saturday, could develop into a regional conflict that would go beyond the borders and involve lots of other people. So just want to draw that to your attention. I also want to say two people who were on the call with me, two colleagues of mine, Bishop Sam Rodman and Bishop Jennifer Brooks Davison from the Diocese of North Carolina, have offered a letter sent out to their diocese. And I'm at a place in my life now where there are some people who do some things much better than I do. And Bishop Jennifer and Bishop Sam issued a letter. A link to that letter is in this posting. And I encourage you to read that letter, and especially uphold all of the people who are finding themselves at this time and place in the midst of violence. Grace and peace be with you, and thank you, Father Nate.
Thank you.